Darren Rovell with Collect TV here with the great Fred Savage of Timepiece Grading Specialists.
Yes, that's right.
Now, a lot of people will be surprised. They're like, hey, no, it's Fred Savage of the Wonder Years and Princess Bride. Tell me, I'm going to get back to the Wonder Years, but tell me how you got into the watch grading business.
So I've been a watch collector for a long time, always worn a watch, and started kind of buying vintage watches right out of college. And so I was a vintage collector mostly, buying watches on the secondary market. And
what was it like back in, 2002, 3?
I mean, I wish I were buying Daytonas, but I started buying like vintage American, Art Deco 30s, 40s American watches, Illinois, Elgin, Waltham.
Which are like in the $500 to $1,500 range?
Right, yeah, like $200-$300.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of what I started. Probably worth about that now. But it's what kind of got my love of vintage watches, and I started reading and collecting and meeting people. And after buying a couple of watches that weren't what they purported to be, I realized that unlike baseball cards or comic books or coins or handbags or shoes or virtually every collectible, the watch market is the Wild West.
And to me, that makes no sense, because how would that make any sense? The watch market was there early.
Look, the first wristwatches were sold in the 18th century.
Right.
So the secondary market is centuries old. But it's a $30 billion industry, the secondary watch market, all predicated on you buy the seller. And that only goes so far. There's some really great sellers out there that I would trust, implicitly. But for a marketplace that size, it's all just done on kind of a wink and a nod.
Is there anything, is the man holding this down? Is it in the best interest of the watch companies for some reason not to have authentication in between the first buyer and the second?
I think having a robust secondary market helps the primary market because it keeps values high. So if the value proposition of buying a brand new watch is that, a year later when you walk out of the store, it's worth 50% on the secondary market, that's not good for anybody. They'll just go buy in the secondary market. So my thesis is, with transparency, we can lower the barrier for entry of anyone buying a watch on the secondary market and raise prices. Because as you've seen in all these other collectible verticals, with that transparency and peace of mind, people will charge more for that level of confidence, and people will pay more knowing they're getting the watch that they expect. And
so when you came up with this idea, nothing existed?
Nothing exists. All the sellers vouch for the watches that they're selling.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
But when I had these watches that weren't everything they were supposed to be, none of my watch collector friends, big collectors, no one was outraged. No one thought, oh, this is a crime, this is criminal. They all threw their arms around me and said, welcome to the club. You're one of us now. And the watch market, watch collectors, it's the only group that accepts kind of getting burned for, you could get burned for 4, 5, 6 plus figures as a rite of passage. You wouldn't accept that in any other collectible. And so I want to bring, a level of transparency to the secondary watch market and empower those collectors.
So I go to TGS, I give you my watch. What do you do, and what do you then give back to me?
So I partnered with a company called Stahl & Company in Dayton, Ohio. Go Flyers, that's the hat. It's one of the premier watch service centers in the country. They service 15,000 watches a month there.
Service centers, and if the watch is broken?
They fix, they repair watches, they'll rehab watches.
But they know more than anyone, that's the point.
They have 40 watchmakers there, and they know more than anyone. And so I partnered there, so we take the watch in. We have the watchmaker who's an expert in that brand open it up, examine it, make sure it's good on the inside. Then it's looked at by 3 different condition graders. And we have a rubric, of 1 to 10 for every component of the watch. The hands, the dial, the crown, the lugs, the movement, everything gets a score.
You dismantle the watch?
We don't dismantle the watch. We'll open the back to make sure the watch inside is good, that the movement is good. But we kind of have a do no harm approach. We don't want to dismantle the watch, especially with vintage watches.
You do as much as you need or as much as you can do.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so everyone, they give an opinion. We give the watch an overall score. We have a weighted formula because a scratch on the crystal shouldn't be as detrimental to the score as like a scratch on the dial, for example. We photograph the watch, and we put together these books, these high-resolution PDF documents of photographs of the watch from every angle, close-up photographs, and they're annotated. So everything about the watch, every scratch, every ding, every Every impact mark is noted, every scuff. And then, we do more education. We say, okay, this is a Mark II dial paired with a Mark III crown. It's a replacement bracelet. This has been polished. And so people can go in with their eyes wide open and know everything about the watch.
Do you share that information publicly or not yet? Do you envision sharing it publicly? Like, hey, this is the nicest Constantine Vacheron.
I think population reports are exactly where we're going. So at scale, you have to have a certain amount of data, but at scale, that's exactly what we want to do. Is that bell curve exists for every baseball card. Those population reports or comic book is really valuable, and we absolutely want to share that information and create those population reports so that the score can be contextualized against the greater marketplace.
I think it's awesome that you're in the hobby, and I love how you are drilled down, obsessional, and that's how you win.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get to Wonder Years.
Okay.
I believe.
Well, can you just tell? I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you just tell how we know each other and how far back we go? Because once you told me this story.
Well, he goes, "It's nice to meet you, Darren," and I said, "Oh, we've met before."
It's a real point of pride to be an early member of your very, very prized collection. So can you please? It's a point of pride for me.
You didn't remember what Thanksgiving Day parade you were a part of.
I did not remember.
It was either 89 or 90. It was the only Thanksgiving Day parade I actually went to because Thanksgiving Day parades are crowd disasters. So I was 10 years old. Wonder Years started in 88.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I think maybe 89. You were one of the most important people in my life at the time. And I went to Thanksgiving Day parade. I went into a hotel. It was very early. I think Pat Sajak and maybe Vanna White were hosting, and you were there.
That was my crew.
I had maybe
Pat and Vanna. Yes, of course. I rolled deep. I rolled deep when I was 12.
And I had a little flimsy pad, and you signed Fred Savage, and I saved that in my scrapbook until I put it in a PSA case.
What did I rate? PSA?
It was a bad scribble, but you were 12.
My penmanship is only improved.
You were a cocky guy. You were signing the autographs of your life.
I'm surprised they didn't just stamp it. I had a stamp. I'm surprised they didn't just.
So that's a special story. But so on the Wonder Years and that time, I mean, you pretty much for kids owned. What was it like back then?
It was a great experience. And people say, "Oh, what was it like? Was it amazing?" And it was. But for me, it was just kind of.
You were in it.
Yeah, I was in it. It's just what I did that day.
Right.
And so I didn't have any perspective. I appreciated it, and I knew that it was special. But I didn't have a sense in the world. It was just what I was doing. Yeah, exactly.
Was it the first monologue in the head type of show that ever? Because there's been more now.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
ever existed. I was thinking about that the other day.
I don't know. I don't know enough to say that it was
history,
the first. But
it's groundbreaking. At least
it definitely was. It definitely was.
Yeah. Did you save some of your props like the Jets jacket? Or anything else? Please say something. Yes.
It's funny about the Jets jacket. My mom is a great mom, maybe a bit of a hoarder, and so so she kept everything, and she would always say, I'm like, Mom, why do you have this review from TV Guide from 1991?
Yes.
And she would say, I don't know, one day the Smithsonian might want it. Lo and behold, that jacket is at the Smithsonian.
No way!
Lo and behold. And I was like, Mom, you have a storage locker of just garbage. It's just garbage. And the Smithsonian came knocking, and I did it kind of, secretively, from my mom.
Right.
I arranged all the stuff for the Smithsonian, and I told her, I said, how you always said the Smithsonian would be calling?
They
did. And we went to Washington, D.C., with my kids and my wife and my mom, and we did a whole presentation, and they have that jacket and a bunch of props from the show, but it's at the Smithsonian, which is crazy.
See, moms don't throw everything out, although if the moms did not throw everything out, then, Mickey Mantle and a lot of these things here at the National.
There'd be no business. Yeah, there'd be no business.
We have one room.
We have a lot of moms to thank for this industry. But no, that is, I'm really happy to say that it's at the Smithsonian, which is insane, with Archie Bunker's chair and the Cheers bar and the Ruby slippers. And
amazing.
It's pretty incredible.
And then have you collected anything else? Were you a collector? Did you collect your own stuff and that kind of thing?
I was a baseball card collector. Grew up in the junk wax era, so it's worthless. But I like it. Right. It's important to me.
Grew up when the Cubs really were past the '84, right?
I was a fan of '84. Okay. I was a fan of '84.
Damn Leon Durham's Gatorade glove.
Eric Shaw. Eric Shaw just worked us over.
What a great pitcher. He gave up Pete Rose's 3-1-9-2. Yeah.
And so, but yeah, grew up a Cubs fan, baseball card collector, became a watch collector. But I'm also someone like I'm a sentimentalist, and so I can kind of imbue meaning into anything.
Nostalgia,
absolutely. Yeah. So like, I remember my wife got not mad at me, but like annoyed, because we had these temporary curtains in our bedroom as the curtains were getting made. But these temporary things they were on our wall for like a year, 2 years. Mm-hmm. These like paper Home Depot adhesive shades. And when my wife threw away, I'm like, why'd you throw those away? They were there when our babies were born. And she's like, they're paper shades. Like, get over it. And so I can kind of sentimentalize and imbue meaning into anything. Unfortunately, I'd be the only one who values those paper shades. There's no market for that, unfortunately, Darren. Right. But everything is meaningful.
Well,
to me
I will get killed
way.
for this, but we are all the same, and they are all the same. Which I would just say that we are going to go to Dayton, and we are going to see.
I would love
TGS.
it. Please.
I'd love to see the process.
Yes.
I'd love to show the world.
We'll take you on a tour. I would love it.
And continued success. This is really exciting.
I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much for the support.